Alright guys, so another day, another Game Pass game. And so today, talking about Lemnis Gate. If I call it Lemons Gate on accident, that's what I've been calling it for the past 2 weeks, so sorry in advance, alright? So if you don't know what this game is, do not go look at reviews. And I don't mean like the one you're watching now, or like other reviews on YouTube. I mean written reviews by users on Xbox. I obviously can't look at them on PlayStation, and I haven't looked at them on PC, but a lot of just written reviews from not big companies or just people who are buying the game and trying it out, again, not through Game Pass. The reviews are all over the place. I think on Xbox, when I checked this game had like a 2 out of whatever Xbox scores. I think it's out of 5. That's pretty bad, and it's not that bad, trust me. We're going to break it down, go through everything as to why it's definitely not a 2, but I just wanted to put that out there at first, but let's get into it. So I want to talk about why people are giving this game a 2 and what this game is, right? And so if you look at the images, just for any of the marketing, a lot of the trailers, just a majority of the gameplay I'm showing you here at first, it just looks like an FPS game, right? That you would think this is an FPS game just by seeing this, right? That is not at all what this is. In a typical match playing with a friend, you are playing this mode here, this FPS part, for about a minute, and you're playing, but you play by yourself without a friend for 2 minutes of just FPS, first person shooter action, right? That's it. The rest of it is strategy type game. It's really hard to explain what this is without showing it, so let me just get to that part. So I'm going to use the tutorial here at first to talk about it just because this is where I was completely lost. And it'll be going the slowest and it'll be the easiest to explain. So there's 3 game modes. We're literally just going to use domination because it's the easiest to explain because everybody knows what domination is. Just 3 points, you capture them. Whoever holds the most points for the longest wins. It's easy, simple. That's how domination works. So here's how a typical round goes, right? It is now the enemy's turn, right? So they choose their one of 8 characters. I don't know how many. There's 8 to 10, something like that. They're one of 8 characters. Right? They choose which one they want to use. Each of them has different abilities. It's like every game, Valorant, Rainbow Six Siege, Overwatch, all that good stuff. It's a hero shooter at times, right? They do their 25-second rundown of whatever they want to do, right? Then you go. I chose my character. I now have to counter what they did, right? So here, for example, I miss, but I end up killing this guy, and I stop him from taking more objectives. Now to simplify this, we're going to call this round 1. Right, I have an extra 8 seconds on my character, so I decided to shoot A and try to capture it for myself. So that's what we're calling round 1. Alright, then round 2 starts. Now he goes again, but the 2 characters from round 1 are still there. Right, so you see that's his first character from his first turn, and that's my first character from my first turn. Now since I kill him in the first round, stopping him from taking A, theoretically, he would kill my guy before I kill his first guy, and I really hope this isn't that confusing, right? Theoretically, what you want to do is it's moves and counter moves, right? If I take A, you need to kill me before I take A, but then I need to kill your guy before you kill my guy, and then I need to kill your guy before you kill my guy, and just stuff like that. But then it gets even more complicated. Let's say somebody messes up, right? Let's say, you're going for A and you need to kill the guy that takes A, but you can't kill him in time. So then you messed up. It's a trapping round now. At least that's how I play. You can play however you want, but it's a trap round now. Now you can put toxicity down, and since you put that toxicity down in the first 10 seconds of the match, even though it was round 1, for the continuing 5 rounds, that toxic gas is still going to be there and affect everyone who goes through it, even your teammates, right? So every character has unique abilities. This guy has a shield, there's toxic gas, there's just a playing out with an assault rifle, there's someone who's fast, there's a shotgun lady with turrets. There's a lot of other people that I can't think of off the top of my head right now, but this is the central gameplay loop. I always want to make sure to go over that at the beginning so you understand what the game is before you buy it. Now, speaking of buying it, this is a Game Pass game, so there is 3 ways to look at it, really. It is $5 because you were paying for Game Pass, right? The way most sane people would probably look at it. There's the way I look at it, which I already have Game Pass, so this game is free. right? That's just me, how I like to think of it. I'm already paying for Game Pass, so every game I play isn't $5. They're free. And then there's the way to look at it. It's $20 if you just, for some reason, are a psychopath and don't have Game Pass. And so, all three of those price points, no matter how you want to look at it, to me, it's worth it, right? This game's definitely worth $20, and it's really simple as to why it's worth $20. Yes, it's fun and it's interesting, but I've talked about this before in other reviews. Fun and interesting and new is only going to keep me interested for so long. I need progression. And so there is visual and mechanical progression, if that's what you want to call it, right? Every character has multiple visual upgrades. I want to say upwards of 10. And then there's also gameplay style upgrades where you can increase the zoom, the stability, the damage, the accuracy, all of that good stuff. And there's probably 5 of those per character, and they work through a prestige system. So that's how that works. Progression is also tied to, I guess, what you would call skill points or unlock points that you get through leveling up, completing challenges, all that good stuff, typical progression type stuff. And so that's pretty much just the gameplay loop and how it works. There's a couple different game modes, right? So there's, which you're going to see here, which is, turn-based, I guess that's what you want to call it. You go, and then the enemy goes. And then you go, and then the enemy goes. And then there's turn-based 2v2s, where you go, an enemy goes, your friend goes, the enemy's friend goes, right? And then back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Then there is simultaneous mode, where everybody goes at once, right? You just do your thing. And so I'm going well, my teammate's going well, the enemies are both going, and so at that point, I don't really like that mode. It's pretty much just team deathmatch at that point, but like with a timer and turn-based in a way, so I'm not a big fan of that mode. I don't think that mode works too well. I think the just typical turn-based is what works the best. And then there's another mode that makes absolutely no sense to me. And this mode is like play with your enemies, is what they call it, or something like that, where you're playing with a friend and you queue, and it's you and an enemy versus your friend and an enemy. And I don't know how this works. We thought that maybe you're supposed to like sabotage the enemy and work against your own team, but that's not how it works. So I don't understand that mode at all. The typical just turn-based, that's the way to go. Now I want to talk about your typical stuff that I need to talk about in a review, because I needed to explain what the game was, but that took a bit longer than I thought. So graphically, the game looks good. You're moving a lot, and you're not in this first-person view for very long ever, so you don't really get to look around all that much. It's usually in that drone view, but for what it does, and for a $20 game, it looks great, right? Performance, it runs fine. I haven't had any crashes or frame rate drops or any of that good stuff. I recommend turning motion blur off, but that's just a preference thing. That's just me. That all works well. The only problems is matchmaking times. And so I played this on launch. These games you're seeing now are from about the first 2 hours of launch. And then I really couldn't find a match for the next 4 to 5 hours. And then even now, or at least the last time I played, you have to play ranked in order to find a match, right? And it's easier if you're looking for 1v1s to find a match, because that's just how it is. But if you're looking for 2v2s, playing with a friend, you definitely are going to need to go into ranked, at least the last time I played this, to find a match. I mean, I sat 20 minutes in queues and couldn't find anything in casual. So that's really the only problem I have with the game. Now, the only other thing to talk about, my opinion, is the balancing with all of the characters, because there's no story here, so I don't need to talk about that. I already talked about performance and all that stuff. It runs fine. I had to explain the gameplay, all that good stuff. And so talked about the pricing. So really, it's just the balancing. So if you look at something like, Valorant, Overwatch, Rainbow Six Siege, like I mentioned earlier, especially Rainbow Six Siege, but that's just because that's the one I'm most familiar with. There's always balancing problems with characters. Here, that's not so much a problem, and maybe it's just because I haven't played it enough to where I notice it. There's not a meta yet, but obviously there's characters that are less useful, like a guy with an assault rifle and just a grenade, right? It's boring, it's bland, but he serves his purpose. If you just need to get something done, but you don't want to use a special character that maybe has a sniper rifle or moves fast or has traps, you can use the assault rifle guy and get that done without wasting a character. And so I think pretty much everyone's balanced really well. The fast guy might be a little bit OP. The sniper's kind of broken at the moment. I guess that is something to bring up in the performance problems, right? So when you snipe, his ability, the sniper guy, is to slow down time, right? And the problem with this is the frame rate. At least I think that's what it is. I'm not certain. Basically what happens when you slow down time with the sniper rifle is it gives you like this broken down, just chunky image of the guy, right? What I mean is the person, obviously, if you don't know how a game works, it's frames. That's what FPS means, frames per second. And so in slow down time, you get about 2 to 3 frames of the guy moving, and then it kind of just like glitches or like jumps, or he just kind of like, it's just chunky. I don't know how to explain it other than showing it if I have footage of it, but he moves 2 to 3 frames and then kind of just like shifts a bit, and then moves another 2 to 3 frames and then just shifts a bit. It's not exactly smooth, and this is on Series X, and so that's a big problem with sniping, because in this game, if you mess up, right, like I tried to explain earlier, if you need to kill this person to stop them from destroying an objective and you miss, you don't have to waste another character, killing that person you should have killed, which means the enemies now get a free turn where they have no one stopping them. So that pretty much loses you the match, or at least causes you to draw at that point. So if it was something that happened occasionally, it wouldn't be as big of a deal, but every time you use the sniper rifle guy, you're risking losing the whole game when you use this ability. You pretty much have to have them standing completely still or running right at you. If they're moving perpendicular to you or diagonal or anything other than a straight line towards you or still, it's really hard to hit them. You basically have to aim ahead and wait for them to kind of shift into their next chunk of frames and then shoot there. But aside from that, I do want to talk about the way the scoring works, I guess. So I'm not a huge fan of it, but it is what it is. I understand why they do it. So you play, and it's different in particular game modes. In casual, it's not really going to be a problem. But in ranked, there's a game mode where you have to, I believe it's actually the only game mode you can play in ranked, is where there's 2 objectives. It's like CSGO and Valorant and everything ever. You have to destroy them, right? And so if you destroy one, you don't win. You have to destroy both of them, essentially, because the other person, the other player, unless they really mess up, is going to destroy one also. And so the problem here is that the enemy has to be really bad, or you have to be really good to destroy both of the objectives, right? So you can't win that way. So essentially what happens almost every single round is you destroy one and the enemy destroys one, right? And so you're at a draw. And there's no overtime here. What they do is they break down the points. So if you did 40 more damage than them to their characters, you win. If they did, 0.4 more objective damage because they had to destroy it multiple times because you maybe killed their guy going for it, then they win. So that's kind of really annoying, because essentially it's going to be a draw every single time. At least with ranked, with us, where we've been playing, we almost always come to a draw, and then it comes down to points by a couple points here and there. The other game modes, like Domination, and this one you have to capture the little ball things, it's not a problem. But just in the ranked game mode, and maybe that's how they want it. I mean, they can't have an overtime, because if they have this problem where you each destroy one objective, that's just going to infinitely happen until somebody messes up. So, I don't know if I brought this up already, but the game is split into halves, and so the games are quite long. But other than that, that's really all I have to say, and, I could go on for 45 minutes talking about this, trying to explain to you what it is, and that's the main problem, is that the marketing for this game was not good. I've seen at least the trailer for this game 3 times. I've looked at it, the images, the description in the store, probably 5+ times in the coming weeks up to the game. I had no clue this wasn't an FPS, right? And so that's the problem. That's why the reviews are so bad on the Xbox store, is that everyone's like, oh, I thought this was going to be like Call of Duty, and then everyone's saying, oh, you idiots think every game's going to be Call of Duty, it's not Call of Duty, and so you can kind of blame both sides, right? Because the marketing is not good. And nowhere in the pre-launch trailers that I saw did they make it clear that it was this overhead view, turn-based FPS. I like it a lot. I probably am going to play it more because this is what it is, but I did not know that going into it. And so that can definitely be annoying, especially if you didn't get it through Game Pass. Thankfully, it was only $20. But if you went into this thinking it was going to be like a hero shooter FPS type thing, not what it is. And then there's the people who, just don't like anything, because that's a large majority of the Xbox store. If you actually go through and read those reviews, some of them are really funny. I have a great time looking at them. There's some in there that are like, oh, my skill in Call of Duty doesn't transfer over to this bad game, stuff like that. And then people roasting them, being like, not every game's Call of Duty. And so, yeah, definitely make sure you know what this is and watch gameplay if you're going to buy it. If you have Game Pass because you're a sane person and it's the best steal you could possibly ever get. It's like 15 gigs. Install it, play it, get on the server so I can find somebody to play against. And, 8 out of 10. See you guys on the next one.